I'm scared. I'm so scared of this. What is about to come out.
He has that mentality of winning, working with these guys. So Manager John introduced us to KSI.
Oh,
So
I should have known.
Let me tell you this.
For those who don't know, this is probably be the first time you guys actually hear this story, and this is a real story. And I'm gonna let him start it. Go ahead. Oh man, this is rough.
So I said so he was committed in fighting Logan for the second fight. The first fight, he fared well. The kid is a dog. He really is. JJ is a dog. He's a sweetheart. Dog. He's a nice kid. When Johnny first brought him over, I was like, Johnny, I don't want to talk about these YouTube nerds. I want nothing to do with these guys.
Right.
And he was like, I'm telling you. I was fine. He was like, can I use your name? I go, fine. Can we use the Mayweather gym? Fine. And he brought him in, and we fell in love with the kid. He was so committed, and he was so dedicated. And anyway, so they reached back out, and they said, if you could help us, with the training camp. So I took over the training camp, and I said, I'm going to put the key players in. Let me put the key players in. So we had Vidal as the head coach. Mm-hmm. We got Stitch Duran as the cut man. He had a strength and conditioning coach that he brought over from the UK. Right. I said, but we're going to need a professional guy. We're going to need a guy that's a little bit level up, and that's Coach Larry Wade. So I told Larry, I got this kid. He's like, yeah, I got one of my coaches can get. I go, no, Larry, you're training this kid. And he's like, nah, man, I got Caleb in camp. I got Sean in camp. I got Batum in camp.
I ain't want anything to do with it. I was like, nothing.
Larry, I need you to clear this guy. Oh, fine. Bring him this time. Was it 2:00, like in the middle of the day in the
First
summer?
of all, it wasn't
terrible.
that easy. We debated for a while. I don't know, man. I mean, because at that time, for everyone, so you understand the timing of it, the YouTube craze in boxing hadn't started.
No, it wasn't there.
This is the first, like, quote unquote push in the US that this was happening. I'm a established professional strength conditioning coach for world-class boxers.
Right.
My number one concern was me connecting myself to this situation makes me part of the quote-unquote circus. And,
right. And that's how it was viewed.
Yeah, me be part of the circus.
No, it was viewed that way.
I didn't want to be the clown and take away from everything that I'm working on from a reputation standpoint. Right. So I wasn't sure. So he and I debated about it for a while. And like always, he was able to convince me to do it. It
was like in the middle of the summer.
Yeah.
It was so hot. He was like, all right, 2:00 p.m. I was like, Larry, it's like 120 degrees on the track at 2 p.m. He's like, that's the only slot I got. All right, fine. We'll bring the kid in. So we told him, and the kid's, so happy to be training with Larry, and he shows up and he's ready. He gives it his all. And, Larry gives him what he gives every fighter, a fitness assessment.
Right.
I would be scared.
I did this. He brought him in, and I attempted to reach out to them while he was in England to try to give some insight of what I would expect and what I would want. And, communication wasn't the greatest at that time, only because they didn't know me, I didn't know them, and they're like, we got this covered. Sure. I'm like, okay, well, when he gets here, he'll be ready. I asked Amer, I said, hey, when he gets here, he'll be ready. Oh, yeah, he has guys, he's okay. And I'm like, okay, cool. The day he gets here, I'm going to evaluate him to see where we are. This is when it goes wrong. What's the statement when keeping it real goes wrong? When it goes way wrong.
So Larry does, he brings his heart rate up. He sees how long it takes him to recover, because that tells you how in shape the guy is.
Right.
Then he spikes it back up. Then he gives him a recover, just like a fight would be, an exchange would be. You got to be able to recover fast to be able to get in the pocket back again and start throwing at a certain level that you need to be throwing. Right. Speed, power, that all you have to be recovered and able to do that. So Larry does the test. The kid just bombs it.
Now, mind you, I'm mic'd up. I got a mic on me.
Oh, did you?
I had a mic. I didn't even know if the mic was hot.
Oh, wow.
The mic was hot. I didn't know the mic was hot. So he brings him front, and I'm testing the energy systems and seeing how long it's going to take to recover, where his heart rate goes to. And the first test, I'm looking at him like,
Larry gives me that shit thing.
I give him the look because I'm like, hey, man, this is crazy. There's still 2 more tests ahead, so I'm trying not to lose it. I'm like, first of all, I'm reluctant. Secondly, he convinced me to do it. Thirdly, he's testing horribly. So by the second evaluation, I look at him, I said, hey, man, we need to talk.
Yeah. He comes over, he's like, all right. It's going to take us some time to get this guy ready. He's like, he's not anywhere near ready, Amer. I told you that I needed 1, 2, 3 done. I go, listen, I can only relay the information to the guys. I don't know. So he's like, all right. How much time we got? I go, Larry,
let's stop because I have one more test. Before we have one more test, the third test. By the third test, I've lost it. I've lost it. And I said, hey, man, as you can tell, I'm animated and I'm passionate. I'm like, hey, this ain't working. I don't know what's going on. Right. He's like,
and he's so passionate about it because he wants to deal with just guys that are going to be, in this. And his name's already affiliated.
Exactly.
By the way, I already made sure the graphic was out, the poster was out.
It was already out. Like everything had already been, promoted. So clearly, my name is on board for this thing. So
before the assessment.
So he and I are having a conversation now. By this time, KSI has already gone into the little shed area and he's trying to rest. And he and I are going at it. we're going at it now.
It's not going to happen, man. We're going to need some time to get this guy ready. We're going to do this. I go, okay, all right, no problem. Yeah, that's fine. He goes, how much time I got? You got about 5.5 weeks. You got 6 weeks.
Fuck you, I don't know. Are you serious?
You are going to do this.
He said, come on, man. I said, no, Amer, I told you, blah, 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 blah. He says, listen, man, you're doing this. This guy's got to fight. I said, I don't care. You told you, blah, blah, blah. He said, Larry, can you do it? I said, man, I don't have enough time. He said, you got 6 rounds. I said, can you do it? I'm like, man, Amer, you're testing me, man. He said, you got 6 weeks. Can you get him ready? I said, fine, I got it. Fine, whatever. I'll do it. Fine. We both looked at each other like, fine, like kids. We walked to
your separate ways.
So we walked to the shed where KSI is at, and it's like nothing even happened, right?
Parker didn't know anything.
But then Audio looks at me like,
oh yeah, I think the Zones might be filming that day. Or something.
He says, I said, was I hot? I said, delete
Edit that.
Delete that. He said, we'll delete it. So I was like, whew.
He's like, there's no way this kid's going to be ready.
That was definitely
Let me tell you something. That boy put his work in.
Oh, man, did
that
he
boy put his work in.
Listen,
Johnny, you were right about that one.
I doubled down on him because the reality of it is, it doesn't matter if it was his first fight or if he didn't come from boxing. The reality is when he gets in that ring, his life is on the line every single time. Yep. And at the end of the day, I take responsibility for that. I don't know if you ever knew that, but when a guy's with me, most guys get hurt in the ring for 1 or 2 reasons. One, they're not fit enough, so they can't respond correctly, right? The second thing is bad weight cuts, right? So I'm usually in charge of both of those things.
Right.
So in his particular case, it was worse for me because he didn't come from boxing. So I can't assume that he's going to know the right move. So I had to at least have him fit enough to deal with the 6 rounds. And I was not easy on him. But I pressed him like anyone else.
Like Dr. Maher said, you found a way to win.
Absolutely. We won, and I think I appreciate that win just as much as I appreciate almost any other win I ever had.
I mean, now you see him every month. The YouTube fights.
It was big, and